What up, nerds, and welcome to another rotten episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 456, recorded Monday, January 1st, 2024. Tonight we're talking about the winner of the January poll, which was When Evil Lurks. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy Randeezy. What's up?
What's going on, children?
What's going on, man? That's a dope tea you got slicked on right now.
Slick
I like
it
what you're dripping.
on. Yeah, we it's just been a constant in our friendship that we wear the same fucking shirts all the fucking time.
It used to be like we hung out all the time, so like we went to the same shows and we'd end up with the same merch, but no, we don't have to fucking do that anymore. It still is true now.
We just go to
fucking
the same
2024 and we're still like fucking doing like twin costumes or whatever.
We go to the same shows just in different states now. Listen to Pup the Band, by the way. Last but not least, calling in from Florida, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy El Diablo Stains. That's Spanish for the devil, boys.
The Diablo.
For the
Diablo.
Diablo.
El Diablo's coming.
The Diablo's coming for your ass.
The Diablo. I don't know. What is that? I don't even know what drawl that could be.
There's a lot of things in there. Boys, it appears I'm the only individual on this show. Apparently.
It appears so.
Okay.
There's nobody's name on your shirt. Or is there? I can't even really see. There might be.
Nope.
Pop it off.
Just keep
pop the shirt off.
No, so let me just pop it off so I can just pop this bad boy
I
off.
remember when I was single.
Let me see those nipples. Let's start this year off right.
Wow.
I'm on to you, Bob.
Big old doinks.
Out here in Amish, smoking big old doinks. Oh, boys. Happy New Year, fellas. It feels good to start a new year fresh. Our 10th year.
Good.
10th year of doing the show.
No baggage here.
Baggage.
We're starting off fresh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Positive attitudes this year. Let's be more positive in 2024.
Or else.
Fresh is not the word I would use to describe how my day has gone so far in the wake of last night's debauchery.
Damn.
Well, I mean, I do want to hear more about that, but we've got a show to get to, I guess.
In this house,
we celebrate New Year's in a rotten way.
At 11:30.
At 11:30. Then we go to bed. All right. Yeah, let's get into just a little bit of housekeeping real quick. January poll closed. Obviously, When Evil Lurks won. We're talking about it tonight. There is a brand new poll currently posted on our Patreon website, our February poll. The theme is Mad Romance. And the three movies you're going to be... It is spicy. The three movies to vote between are From Beyond, Spring, and Byzantium.
Whoa, boys, we are getting ready for Valentine's season. How are those numbers looking on the first day?
Well,
something. Yeah, I guess so. Bob, how are those numbers looking on the first day of the year?
Well, From Beyond is winning with 63% of the vote. Spring is in second place with 25%, and Byzantium's in third with 13%.
All right, early days. We got a while to go.
Yeah.
Never put it past a Crampton joint to take the lead, I guess. There's some good stock in there.
With our squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's just generally the most well-known of the three movies, too.
Could be.
Probably true.
Could be.
Yeah. They're all good, though. They're all solid. Make sure you get your votes in before the end of the month, and we'll see what we're talking about this February. In other Patreon news, we got a brand new mini-cast dropping this Friday. If you support us at the $10 level or above, you get access to a whole back catalog of Patreon-exclusive episodes. I think this is number 119 or 120. We got a lot.
Whoa.
A lot.
And toward that big 150.
We'll hit it this year. We'll definitely have 100.
Oh, yeah, we will. Oh, my God.
For sure.
Oh, wait till you guys see all the plans we have for that. It's so well planned.
You're gonna love it.
Just like our plan for 100, it was so big.
It was
so big.
Huge. So this Friday, I am dropping a new minicast. I'm talking about that new Glenn Danzig hotness, Death Rider and the House of Vampires.
Bob, I certainly thought that this came out years ago because we did a video on it. A
trailer reaction.
A trailer reaction.
Oh, shit. The month.
That's like one of like 2 trailer reacts we have or something.
No, we did we did a few when I was in town, a couple years ago. So but yeah, I thought for sure it was out a long time ago. It's just now out. Okay.
I don't think so. It did like a brief festival run, and I just don't think anybody picked it up. So I think Glenn eventually just released it himself.
He's just waiting. He was just patiently.
As best I can tell.
Biding his time. Well, yeah. I'm morbidly curious about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Not me.
Oh man, it's not a good movie, but I watched it totally alone, like at like 3:00 in the afternoon, sober, and it's like a terrible movie, but I didn't have a bad time. Let's just say that.
Okay, I can see that. I could see that.
That's not, as I recall, your feeling towards his previous adventure.
No, I think this is better than Veronica, but like marginally. Let's not get crazy here. It at least
I'm living in a nightmare.
It's got a Devon Sawa in it, and you know I'm a Sawa boy.
Well, we know you're a Sawa boy. I had to retire that bump, though. There's just not enough room for it.
I am a Sawa boy. So yeah, that's dropping this Friday over on Patreon. In other Patreon news, we do have a brand new Patreon supporter we got to give mad shouts outs to.
Whoa.
A big thanks to Paul E. for being our first new patron of the year. Every dollar you guys contribute goes right back into the show. We really do appreciate it. It helps this train roll. And as is tradition around these here parts, we owe you the straight chilling salute. This one goes out to Paul.
Slap me in the ass.
There it is. Thank you, Paul.
This thing helps us train roll or roll train, Bob. What are we talking here?
Dealer's choice, I guess.
I was like, wait, what did he say?
What? It helps us run train, you see.
It helps us with our train running.
Thank you, Paul. That's all the Patreon news. Do you guys have anything you would like to plug?
Do that gesture again. There you go. All right, cool.
So I've got about 20 things that's going to be popping off between this week and next. New video reviews, articles coming out, features. I got about 5 of those. No, fuck no. It's the first day of the year. I'm not doing shit.
Okay.
Well, for once, we're on the same page.
I have some more stuff to plug.
I'm taking the Randy approach this year.
Fuck
dude. Fuck it, brother.
Yeah.
Laughs a garden, dig it.
But no, Bob, please tell us about your adventures that you've been doing.
So we got a couple new episodes of Let's Get Physical Media on the way.
Couple, whoa.
Yes, sir. At the time of you hearing this podcast, the first one of those will already be out. Our December pickups is going to drop the day before this show goes live. So if you guys have any interest in collecting Blu-rays, 4Ks, DVDs, and things of that nature, Mikey and I are talking about everything we got in the month of December, and it was a bit of a heavy month, so there's a wide variety of stuff we talk about. Yeah.
I was going to say, I had heard a tale that you would really outdone yourself. How many would you say, or do you want to save that?
You gotta listen to Let's Get Physical Media. That's the.
Where did Bob go wrong? Were he and his friends sifting way too long through those Blu-ray bins? And it gets worse. He'll have no jet ski, wasting all his dough on those DVDs.
Trying to wet our listeners' whistle on this thing.
I gotta say, I think that was peak straight chilling. I think it's all been downhill from there.
Yeah, we're all washed up.
Man, we're just a bunch of film bros now. What can I do about it? Not a damn thing.
2024, here we come,
Film
baby.
broing out.
I'm excited because the future of this podcast to Justin is being more positive, but I'm ready to be like hardcore snob nose fucking film bro.
Everything's getting a 5-star this year, boys.
Oh my god!
Starting tonight. The other episode of Let's Get Physical Media is dropping Tuesday, January 9th, and we're going to be talking about our top 10 of 2023. So check that out everywhere you get your podcasts.
Only 10? Bob, I'm sure you could do a top 100. I bet you could.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right, let me re-record it real quick. But yeah, that is officially all I have.
Okay,
all right. Well, it sounds like our house is clean.
His house is clean.
Let's get into the main event we're talking about, when Evil Lurks, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, there's no box.
There is no box.
I know you don't have it. The illusion. There's no illusion here.
We waited on bated breath for nothing.
Yeah, we're on this way.
Bob,
So
they
what
don't have
happens now?
shit.
This is a Shudder exclusive.
Yeah, they do release stuff on physical media. This is not available yet, though. It usually takes a minute. So
right.
It probably will be on disc before too long. Terrified, I believe you can purchase. A lot of their originals are.
So that's good to know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When Evil Lurks. This was a movie that just came out last year. Shudder exclusive. I believe they cut the director Demian Rugna a check, and this is officially their first ever Spanish language production. So
nice.
This was written and directed by Demian Rugna. Previously had Terrified, also on Shudder. Both of them are on there. They're both good. Watch them. Stars a whole bunch of glorious sexual, fantastic actors that I'm not going to try and pronounce their names.
Ooh.
This is an Argentinian. The movie's from Argentina.
Argentinian, I believe.
Argentinite.
It's from the Tina. So it is a Spanish language film, and the plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. In a remote village, two brothers find a demon-infected man just about to give birth to evil itself. They decide to get rid of the body, only to end up unintentionally spreading chaos. So I know we've all seen this before because we briefly mentioned it on our top 10 of 2023 episode. Gentlemen, would you recommend folks check this out? Randeezy, kick us off.
Yeah, I would. Being the horror movie podcast that it is, I think that most of our listeners are going to be okay watching this movie. There is a little bit of a sensitivity warning here, a trigger warning for some child adjacent stuff that happens. Not the worst thing you can imagine, but not a good thing either. So it's just something to be aware of as you're going into this. This movie does not pull punches. It's got quite the brutality streak to it. But that is where it's most effective also in many ways. So if that's what you're down for, and if, do you think you're ready for a little bit of a more, horrific challenge than most, I'd say, yeah. Oh yeah. Get your ass in here.
Hell yeah.
Watch this shit.
Juice, do you like watching children get murdered?
You know I do. But yeah, I had seen this before. I would recommend horror fans check it out. I don't think this is any kind of blanket recommend. I don't think this is going to be the one that's going to be transcending the genre or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I think I would say this is probably the most brutal film of 2023 from my memory. But the one thing is, though, I did see an article or something calling this kind of like extreme cinema, and I wouldn't classify it as that. I don't think it's to that extreme. I think it's just showing you some horror things that are typically avoided because mostly people have trouble with like kids being in the violence of horror. And so but I don't think it's extreme cinema. So yeah, I would recommend people check this out. I think it's a really well made film. Bob, how about you? Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, there's something about the labeling it extreme that makes it seem like it's brutal just for the brutality's sake. And that's not what's happening here.
No.
It is in service to a story. So
yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Bob, would you recommend people check this out?
Yeah, I would recommend checking this one out. It's on Shudder, super easy to find. It is, of course, as you guys said, very, very brutal. So if you're in the mood for something a little more on the bleak side, definitely throw it on. You'll have
of course, here come the demons.
You'll have a really good time. Just a grand old time with the whole family. Check it out. Yeah.
Nope.
The whole
For the
family.
Granny, come have a seat. I got a movie for you.
This kicks ass.
It's the new Disney film from Demian Rugna. We got to watch it.
Ooh. Oh, man.
Solid
Now I'm
recommendation.
very curious about that.
God. Solid recommendation from the Straight Chilling crew. We are going to spoil the shit out of this movie, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Hey, this kicks ass, says Granny. Put it on the box.
That
Granny
little bitch
says,
got what she deserved.
These kids just won't shut up.
Granny's just sitting there saying, like, good for them.
All right, Bob, you got that sweet plop synopsis?
I got the plop synopsis right here. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Late one night, brothers Pedro and Jamie hear some gunshots in the woods. The following morning, they investigate and find the lower half of a corpse. They also find some evidence that leads them to Maria Elena's nearby home. It turns out her son Uriel, has become a rotten, which means he's possessed by a demon. And the corpse that they found was of a cleaner who was sent to kill Uriel and exorcise the demon before the possession spread. The police are no help, so Pedro and Jamie turn to Ruiz, who's the landowner, for assistance. He claims the state has intentionally ignored their pleas for help because they want Ruiz's land. The three go back to Maria's and unload Uriel's giant pus-filled body into the back of a pickup truck. They drive him out of town. Along the way, they swerve to avoid running into a kid in the road, and they lose Uriel. They decide he's probably far enough away from their homes that they don't have to worry about him anymore. The next morning, one of Ruiz's goats has become possessed. He breaks one of the 7 rules and shoots the goat with a rifle, which helps spread the possession. His wife then kills him with an axe before slamming the axe into her own face. The next morning, Maria's younger son asks Pedro and Jamie if he can stay with them because his mother has abandoned him. They believe he's lying and that his mother is probably just possessed. Pedro and Jamie then plan to grab Pedro's kids and leave town. They drive over to Pedro's ex-wife, Sabrina's home. She's upset because there's a restraining order on him. Sabrina has remarried and has since had a little girl who ends up getting mauled by a possessed dog. Her dad shoots the dog dead, and she walks back to the house miraculously unharmed. She tells her mom that dad will return to kill her. Meanwhile, Pedro grabs his 2 boys, Santino and Jar, and load them in the car. As they leave, Sabrina's new husband runs her over with a truck, killing them both. Pedro picks up Jamie and their mother, and they drive over to Jamie's friend's house, Myrta. Along the way, Grandma explains the 7 rules you must follow when dealing with a rotten. They are: don't use electric lights, stay away from animals, don't harm them, don't take anything close to them, don't name the demon, never use a gun, and finally, don't fear death. They arrive at Myrta's house, and she was once a cleaner herself. She says Jer is possessed, but Pedro explains no, he's just autistic. Sabrina's corpse shows up and kidnaps Santino. Jamie chases after him while Pedro and Myrta search for Uriel. Jer is left alone at the house with Grandma. Jamie finds Sabrina has killed Santino, and he runs her into a tree with his truck. Jer begins speaking clearly to his grandma for the first time ever and says he's hungry and cold. Pedro and Myrta their search leads them to an elementary school with several spooky children who lie to them and try to protect Uriel. They find him hidden under the stage in the auditorium. Myrta sets up her cleaning device and says Uriel must be pulled up onto the stage. The children tell Pedro there's an axe in the other room that would be helpful to him. He goes to get it against Myrta's wishes. The kids lock him in the room, kill Myrta, and destroy her cleaning device. Pedro gets out and bashes Uriel's head in, giving way to the demonic birth. A creature covered in blood emerges from the stage and drags his fingers across Pedro's forehead as he walks into the sunrise with the children following him. Pedro, Jamie, and Jer return home. Jamie finds Maria's younger son is still living in the barn, who admits a voice in his head told him to kill and eat his mother, and as well as the cleaner from the beginning of the movie. He also says the same thing happened to Jamie's mother. Back inside the house, Jer is eating ice cream and begins choking. Pedro helps him and pulls hair and a lot of blood and his mother's necklace out of Jer's mouth, leading us to believe that he didn't eat his grandmother. Pedro runs outside and has a breakdown on the lawn, realizing he has now lost everybody in his life but Jamie. Roll them credits.
Yay!
Feel good movie of the year.
It kind of is one for the grandmas, though, because like the granny gets eaten. Fuck them kids.
Why is it for the grandma?
It's well, I guess it's not really for them. It's one for Granny is to be like,
No.
yes, fuck them kids. Fuck them grandkids. They eat all my
Okay,
cooking
all
and then
right.
they eat me. It's rude,
Dude. They just take and take and take these kids, you know?
We do have a bit of a
They're so entitled.
Home Alone situation here where or I guess a little bit of a stranger situation as well, where the ice cream doesn't really get finished. That looks like some good ice cream too.
Dude, it was very novel, that kind of like just the container that it's in. We don't like.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
It was
It's
interesting.
apple
And also, like,
specifically, I don't think I've ever had apple ice cream.
I've had apple pie ice cream. I was thinking about that. I was like, why isn't apple a more normal flavor? It's I'm sure it's delicious. Like, anyway,
America.
that's not the big takeaway from this movie or anything.
Poor ice cream left to melt.
That poor ice cream.
Damn it.
Yeah. God damn it! Not another one.
So going back to, I guess, our earlier point, this movie is brutal, but it's also, like we said, it's kind of servicing the plot a lot of the time. And there are some implied things, like even that final shot where, it doesn't need to show you this kid eating the grandma, which some movies might try to do something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the big scene for sure is the bigger dog, grabbing hold of the little girl by the face, essentially.
That was a rough one. Yeah.
Which I love. One positive thing I'm going to talk about this movie is the way that this movie sets things up. Is the tension is so real because it's going to happen. He lingers on that shot so many times. Not the actual biting, that goes by really quick, but the little girl dancing around this dog, the shot like straight on of just the dog kind of looking around, and you've seen him in the clothes where the animal can already do so. Like the whole time, it's coming. You just almost can't accept it because nobody ever shows those kind of things in films before, and that's why it's so shocking. But there is a real tension there.
I mean, there's tension. I'll say this: the first time I watched this, I've seen this twice now. First time I watched it, I definitely didn't. I figured something was going to happen with the dog. They were spending too much time with the dog sniffing Pedro's clothes as he was stripping because he was trying to change his clothes out or whatever. And but like I didn't actually know. Like I didn't know what form it was going to take, and I definitely didn't anticipate it would attack like what is. Like in any other movie, the least consequential person in the scene. You know what I mean? They did spend a lot of time on it, so maybe I could have clocked it if I was thinking about it. But I was very much taken by surprise by the jump.
Really?
Yeah, I was caught off guard, probably because I've just been kind of programmed to be like, they don't kill kids. But that
it also looks like a sweet dog,
head.
honestly.
Yeah, it does.
Well, I mean, the thing with me is I like the way they set it up too, where they're eye to eye. Actually, the dog's pretty big because she's a young girl. She's 4 or something, but her height is they're essentially eye to eye. And so I remember the first time I watched it, I was anticipating that happening, and I was like, this is gonna be brutal.
That's just one of the. I mean, that's probably like the one that people remember because that's where you first get like you got a lot of gross out before that, and you got some like shocking stuff where the Ruiz family tries to kill the goat and all that stuff.
Dude.
But we haven't seen any like real like that. That's very brutal or whatever. But we haven't seen anything like this is the one that stands out because it's the first kid that gets in the mix.
Yeah.
Really.
Well,
then later on I'm sorry.
The Ruiz farm is extra shocking because. Well, the woman, like, she kills her husband, but then she turns and slams the axe into her own face several times, and she's pregnant while she's doing it. So, like, it's
that's a good call.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah,
it's pretty rough, but also that effect is so good. Both times that like the axe connects and you see it full front. Like it's not
full
pulled away at all. And honestly, it could have been terrible looking. Like I was very fucking impressed with how unsettlingly real that looked to my eye. And I don't know. It was really fucked up. But the other like big kid violence moment besides, the fucking, I don't know, the gaggle of kids at the schoolhouse later is the young son later on gets picked up by the his possessed mother basically. she absconds with him. And finally, when his uncle catches up to them, you see that she has removed his cranium and is scooping out brains.
Yeah, he's a little snack. She's just
very visibly.
Yeah,
it's very fucking.
And we
that
actually
to me is more brutal, but it's like less. Like they already popped their shock.
That's true. And at that point, it's dark outside. And also, too, we have seen, like you said, a little bit more brutality when the mom comes in. Her face is really messed up she got just hit with a car. And so, at that point, I guess we're kind of like anticipating it more or just prepared, maybe more prepared. But yeah, that one's brutal. And then like even, the idea, I like that they are able to show you such brutality. And even the guy at the beginning, just his situation looks so terrible. But I really kind of appreciate the ending. I mentioned it before of the guy just kind of pulling and the necklace falling out of the kid's mouth, and there's blood there and stuff like that too. But I mean, it capably is able to let your imagination run wild while at the same time showing you some things that most people aren't really prepared to show you in an effective way. So it's able to play both sides really well, I think.
I thought the look of Uriel in this movie was one of the most distinct and memorable things from it. Like soon that image, like
it looks like a squashed octopus.
That's a good one. As soon as you see him, it's just like it's such a potent image. Like you can smell that room, man. It is gnarly, and the pus just oozing out of him. And when they try to move him,
the sheets,
it's like dripping. He's leaking through the sheet as they're carrying pus. Oh my god, that is so effective.
It's crazy how well that works. Cause like I could imagine that same effect being comically silly in like a trauma movie or something.
Sure,
like it's like taking that shit so dead seriously and lighting it and like I don't know, like using the tools of cinema to like make that shit sell. That's fucking impressive to me. It would be so easy for that to look like cheap prosthetics, and it doesn't not look like prosthetics if you're looking at it real close. And a few scenes, especially like at the end where he's actually getting like attacked by Pedro.
Yeah,
but like aside,
I don't know,
really it sells really well at the beginning, and so it kind of carries through.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Yeah, and even the mom, just the whole situation too, where they come in there, the mom's just kind of carefully taking care of him because they all know the situation too of I'm going to keep him alive. He's begging for death. He looks terrible. He smells terrible. And they're trying to get some help and nobody's going to help him. And then somebody did try to come and help him. They got killed and eaten, just like shit like that. It's they set it up really well to where, we talk about a lot. If you're putting yourself in these people's shoes, you're also kind of like, what am I going to do? What do you do in this situation? And even to the point where, they do make a big kind of mistake, and they do make a big mistake, but they're doing their best after that. The guy's like, don't take any possessions from the house. Nothing. We're going to burn our clothes. I just got to get my kids, and just having just that tiny thread of like, oh, that's why they can't leave. They get their mom and stuff like that, which is a very reasonable thing. There's hardly anybody who just has nothing left to lose. Even he's willing to like not take money, not use the guns, follow all the rules, and he still gets caught up in it, or they both get caught up in it. And it's like that's effective too for putting yourself in the situation.
Some of it is a bit frustrating because they don't really like. It seems they are doing their best. They're doing what they think is right, but they don't necessarily listen to the people that they should listen to, Myrta, namely, because she is like very, very clearly saying like, hey, Jer is possessed. I know, I've seen it before. She's explaining all the telltale signs, and they don't seem to take her very seriously. And then, of course, again at the end,
Betty, you have gonorrhea.
Damn.
At the end, whenever Pedro runs to go get the axe, and she's like, "They're tricking you. Please don't leave." And of course, it ruins the whole thing because he does leave. So like, they're not really listening to her at all, which is frustrating. But
I agree. Like, Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to make another point, but you can go ahead.
I was just like, I mean, I agree with that. This movie is kind of got a balance to it where like I feel like it has a lot of very interesting new like ideas about like how possession could work, or how this like a zombie apocalypse might look, or how, you know, I don't know, new rules for how you handle those situations. Like all that stuff is kind of good in on their own right. But I don't know, like it's hard to follow. Even on the second watch, I'm like not entirely sure what's happening. And I don't know how much of that is like, I don't know, it helps me glaze over some of the dumb decisions that these guys are making. But by the end, Pedro in particular, like he makes so many mistakes at the end that are very, very avoidable. And I just like, it is frustrating. It's frustrating because like there's several points of this movie where I'm like, yes, they're doing the right thing. Like to Justin's point, like they're being pragmatic about this at this point or whatever. But he falls apart on a number of occasions and basically like enables this whole shit to end as bleakly as it does. I don't know, like somehow like those two things balance, where it's got like all these nifty rules and stuff, but also the way that the people in this movie behave with those rules is a little fast and loose in a way that I don't know why you would be. Like if this is a world where these things are kind of like at least somewhat established known entities, they're treating this like it's a typical infection that can just get out of hand if you treat it poorly. You just got to know what to do, and there's like a protocol in place and all this shit. But then they don't really like follow those protocols, or they don't like, they kind of fly by the seat of their pants, sometimes spurred on by Ruiz, the Ruiz family or whatever that owns the land. And then later on, just by his own desperation, I guess, Pedro like casts about, I don't know. It's a weird thing that I'm not totally, I think it's a little bit of a ding for me, because it feels like these characters, especially because this is established lore that they should know in the real world that they live in, they should be making smarter decisions than this 100% of the way through.
Well, I kind of, so I was going to just talk about, I took it a little bit differently than how Randy took it. I kind of took it where it would be like if all of a sudden vampires were real for us. You know, we know general vampire rules, you know, you don't invite them in, and the sunlight and those kind of things. But it almost feels like this kind of child's tale, or this thing to where unless because they saw Uriel in the state that he was in, then they believed it. So it would be like if somebody took us into a room and there was some dude with fangs and super pale and shit like chained to the wall or something, then we might actually be like, holy shit, maybe this is a vampire. Yeah. But then would we be so on point to follow all the vampire rules that we know, as many as there are and as loose as they are across like different tales and iterations? That's just kind of how I took it.
I mean, I can understand that. I'm sorry, Bobby, go ahead.
In between those two things, because it seems like every time they along their journey they tell somebody new, like, "Hey, we saw a rotten." It's
everybody knows what they're talking about. Nobody disbelieves it.
It seems like it's a fact, and everybody knows it's a fact, but it's rare. So they're like, "What are the chances?" Kind of, you know, that you actually saw one. Do you even know what to look for?
And you can maybe chalk it up to that. And like, obviously, like I said at the beginning, that Ruiz, the landowner, or whatever, kind of spurs them to do the initial mistake, which is moving Uriel away from his spot. But like, even still, like, I don't know, one hothead or whatever is one thing, but like at multiple points through this, it seems like people aren't taking this seriously enough, even though everybody seems to agree that it is a real threat that could threaten them. Like, they're getting the fuck out of town. Even the grandmother knows the rules from all the shit, and it's like treating it somewhat seriously. But also, they also kind of seem shocked when they see like people. I don't know, like I don't know. It's. Part
the
of
grandmother's
like
not taking it seriously. They pick her up. She doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
No, but when she kind of likes the rules, she knows the rules.
She knows the rules.
But did they tell her that there's a rock? I know they show up at her door, and she keeps asking these questions. Like when they first show up, she's like, "Oh, the kids are here." And I think she's just telling the story. I don't think they say like, "Mom, there's a rotten, so we're getting out of town," initially, to where she should be taking it seriously.
But she knows something's wrong, because she's like, "What? Who's dead? Who died?" or whatever, like something like that early on. So I don't remember exactly when that information was relayed, or if she's figured it out by then or not. But whatever. Like, it's clear to me that it's like she is at least aware that these things exist because she's talking about them like real things. Although she is a little bit lackadaisical because she's like, oh, we'll go and get the ice cream. What'll it take 2 minutes or whatever? And the guy's like, no, we can't do that. So that to me was like, there's a lot of like feeling I have towards this, like in thinking about it as like a hurricane preparedness parable or something like that. Not like 1-to-1 by any means, but it's like
that's fair.
Your elderly grandma might be like, oh, we have time to stop at a grocery or whatever, or maybe they're the ones that are telling you don't do that. You know, somebody in your family might be like a little bit more cavalier than they ought to be about it.
Well, even to that point, I mean, this is going to resonate the most with us, but I mean, people knowing should say like in Florida, a hurricane comes and there are a lot of people who are just like, man, we're going to ride it out. Just going to stay.
Hunker down.
And then when shit really does pop off, then they're, of course, either die or the first one to say like, oh my God, I can't believe, really we regret staying behind. But so it's not that hard, like big of a stretch for me to kind of put, especially with something so almost supernatural where it seems kind of like folklore and stuff like that. But I will agree with you that the biggest weakness for me is the ending. There, after what Pedro's seen, there's no reason for him to be making these decisions. I don't understand
he should
why
be
he's
like
doing
fallen. He should be completely fallen into line at this point.
The third act,
go ahead, Ben.
like them like Myrta and Pedro getting in the car as soon, like from then on, it just kind of feels like it starts coming unraveled a bit because they're making like pretty large, from the viewer's point of view, like large leaps in logic. I guess these are things that are just known, and all of a sudden now Pedro is listening to Myrta full stop in this moment because she's like, we got to go check the school out. He knows what she's
talking about.
Because kids are drawn to evil and the evil's drawn to kids, so it's probably at the school. So they go to a school, and that's exactly where it is. And they don't have to look anymore. That's the first place they look at, and it's there. And then the kids are like bleeding from the eyes and creepy shit, and then they try and trick them. And then Pedro's like, no. Well, he actually beats the shit out of a kid, which is kind of nuts. And then they end up finding Ariel. It's just like these very rapid fire like decisions are made, and he's like, the first part of it he's listening to Myrta, and the second part he's not, and he loses his temper, and then it just feels really fast and loose and like not really satisfying because for me it feels like the movie's really building up to a pretty large climax. The way they're talking about how these rottens, the possession spreads and it like completely like ravages an entire town. So I was just expecting like something a little more grandiose than like this creature walks out with a few kids behind him. It just kind of falls apart in the end. To me.
I agree because they set it up where I like that where they set it up where she says, the town, the lights are off. Yeah. What's going on? And I think the big problem is earlier, I think they established the kind of rules pretty well. You can't be setting up all of these new rules in the final act. You can't be just introducing these new ideas because it makes it just seem like getting you to the next story beat as opposed to something happening organically. Yeah. So I do agree with that.
I don't know. Like I if the movie had ended at, the kid being birthed, Lucifer coming to form and touching the forehead of this guy who in his ignorance, enabled that entirely. I think that's the movie ending. I think it's strange that they go back to the house and do this thing. It's a cool moment, like as a vignette on its own, but it seems like it's kind of tacked on. If that didn't exist, I think that gives a natural climax that implies much bigger destruction that would be the grandiose thing you're talking about without having to budget for it. But like, I don't know, like that last, I semi do agree with the last third act of them or whatever. I kind of like the like Scooby-Doo-ness of them going around. I also don't mind that they introduce new rules because this is their info dump. They found the person that knows what the fuck they're talking about. They found the log. They found the MacGuffin that tells them what to do next. And it's this woman. So like, I think that's fine. And I appreciate it to some degree. It was a lot of stuff to like have in the last few minutes to some degree, but I don't think it was I don't know. I like the way she walked us through it. She's like, well, if the kids, this thing's attracted to kids, this thing, Uriel fell off your truck right by the school. It's probably in the school. Oh, this kid's lying to you to get us to try and get us to leave. Okay, he's probably here then. Like, it's not illogical what's happening, and I'm okay with it mostly. I'm okay with doing the little bit of Scooby-Doo things while interspersed with Pedro's brother discovering what he discovers about the other people in the family. Maybe that's the scene where he could have like found Jair having eaten the mom, like the grandma. Like that seems like it would have more naturally crescendoed to a fever pitch that we don't get to see, and that's left ambiguous. And I think that works just a little bit better. But ultimately, like, this is kind of like the thing for me about this movie is, we're always trying to like figure out a little bit like so the subtext or what this filmmaker's trying to communicate, if anything specific. And that's where I kind of fall off with this movie, having seen it twice. Like, I think it's got these really cool ideas of like the surface level story, while not perfect, is very engaging and pretty original take on a lot of things, and the brutality helps that along and it makes it an entertaining movie. But I don't know if there's like a deeper story being relayed. I had a real hard time trying to pinpoint what that is. I don't know if maybe we could talk about it. You guys
drag you down.
Yeah, it's so this whole movie is a child-free subreddit glory movie.
Fuck them kids. The real evil is kids. Boy. They should call this one Kids Lurk.
You see,
it's baby, gotta love me.
It's commenting on the global phenomenon of the low birth rate that's happening that we see where the kids...
It's about birth rate.
This is really just a big advertisement for Apple ice cream, okay?
Kind of. Dude, that Apple ice cream looked good.
It looked pretty good, man. I wanted it. For sure. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you guys had any...
I didn't pick up on any sort of big subtext, like message.
That's the thing.
I think it's just like, kind of a wild ride.
Maybe you're right.
I thought
but
it was
to
a
me, it feels like I thought it was like to me, it feels like they've got this character who we set up as having done something or having maybe not done something. And there's all this question about, wait, what did he do to get kicked out of his family's life? Why did he disappear for 4 years? And it turns out that I think later on we find out that he supposedly tried to kill his entire family by opening up like a gas line or something in the house. But his brother said that was bullshit made up to keep his kids away from him. And then later on, the demon is taunting with that, so we don't know if that's true there either. But like, nevertheless, that's threaded throughout. I just don't know how it weaves with the story that they're telling. Like, that seems they gave him some sort of pathos, but I don't know how it factors in. Does it make him more reckless? Is that what we're supposed to get from that? I don't know. Did he do it? Did he not do it? Is he reckless? Like, this is the thing. Is like, there's threads there that I think you're meant to pull, but I don't know what pulling them gets me.
It really, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, if you're going to look at it, what it kind of does, and now this is kind of its own horror in itself. I'll admit that I've kind of considered this in some way, but it kind of taps into another horror of, if you really are trying to survive something, if you fear for your own life and you're doing your best to survive, are the people around you, the people you care about the most, are they dragging you down? Like, are they going to be what's essentially going to get you killed? Because, there's, I don't know. It just, I considered that, because even she's saying like, you can't go after him. You fear for him dying or whatever. And it ultimately cost him everything, every single one of his kids, his mother and things like that. He's not able to save anybody. So I don't know. Like, that's not a message. I don't think. It just tapped into another kind of subliminal fear that I thought was an interesting take.
That is interesting to think about for sure. I think that like he's got this thing going where, I don't know, the characters in this movie, I don't, like you said that maybe these people are bringing him down, but I kind of feel like it's the opposite, because there is a moment where he's not unrightfully so blaming himself for basically bringing this sickness to his family directly. Like everything that happens.
Now that could be it.
Like, so maybe it's like absenteeism as a parent. I don't know. Like, that's the thing, is that there's so many ways you can look at that, but none of them feel like they're as solidly grounded as they should be, for as intricate as this movie seems to me.
Given when this movie was released and how they're sort of taking a kind of a novel approach for possession, in that it sort of spreads like a virus. I wonder if this is some sort of COVID analog happening here. Because there's a certain list of rules, and they sort of change and evolve throughout.
And they
the
don't
movie.
really listen to the person who actually knows about what's going on.
They don't really listen. Distance seems to be a good thing. And it also, like, when it comes to your town, it spreads like wildfire. And maybe that was something that influenced him when he was writing this. Because possession as like a virus, kind of like that. It's interesting. It's not something that you see very often.
It
I
is,
think it'd be
but
hard
there's
not to make that connection on some level. I just don't, again, know ultimately where the point coalesces.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Juice, but I cut you off there, Juice.
Oh, it's interesting. I was trying to consider the child being born at the end and essentially kind of blessing Pedro in a way, anointing him. And it was kind of interesting the way you brought up about him as a father, because it is kind of like him each step of the way, even though we are following his perspective and we feel like we're sympathetic. But I mean, he does kind of bring this about. And I'm wondering if it's this kind of like spiral where you feel like, you make a mistake and then you try really hard to make up for it. And then like, you're just like, keep making it worse. Like keep making it worse and keep making it worse. Because even, there are a couple times where I guess it doesn't necessarily have any consequences, but maybe it does. Maybe it does. Because even when the kid initially comes to his house and he's like, please let me sleep here, I'm very cold. He's like, go sleep in the barn. And Jamie's like, no, don't let him sleep in the barn. And then, but we don't exactly know how his clothes got infected. We know that there's just something's kind of spreading, but I don't know. It could be one of those things where he does kind of bring this tragedy on his family. As a father, we already know that's absent. He tries to do the right thing, save his family. It ends up killing them all in terrible, terrible ways. So maybe that could be that. And I don't know. That could be something.
I've got a little bit of trivia that might shed some light on the movie for us. So this, during a Q&A at Fantastic Fest, director Demian Rugna said he got the idea for When Evil Lurks from a series of news stories about farm pesticides in his native Argentina, causing widespread health issues. He suggests that corporate apathy about the workers' health and the way the issue occurred out of the middle of nothing, where it's easy for profiteers and city dwellers to ignore the impact of their choices, started him thinking about making the idea of lurking evils given free rein to spread.
Okay. I can see that. That seems like a pretty strong theme. Then.
Yeah.
Feels like they were going strong with that in the beginning, because that's why one of the landowner says that it's like, they want my land and the cops aren't listening to me. But as the movie progresses, as the movie progresses, I don't feel like that idea or message is, maybe if we saw more of the town, but it doesn't seem like anyone's profiting in this situation. So I guess that message is not really.
Well, maybe that's part of it too. Like the whole thing about it lurking, evil lurking and all this stuff. Like there's all kinds of shit that goes on where people aren't paying attention that is dangerous for the broader world if given certain circumstances.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I could see that, but I totally agree that like as a theme, it takes a huge back seat by the time things really start kicking into gear. Once he moves like on to pick up his kids, all of that is already established and done with for the most part. So that's something, but it's not like, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of little things like that are interesting. And it's just the weaving that's not really landing for me with this movie, and that's what makes it kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
I do think I think they did a good job with like the overall world building. Like with this movie, they really like the rules exist. They drop you in, the action starts almost immediately, and they don't really like spoon feed everything to you. I mean, they explain the rules, but I feel like they just actually trust the audience in the context of this movie, where you don't have like giant info dump after giant info dump. You just kind of have to like roll with it and connect the dots. And maybe sometimes they don't give us enough breadcrumbs to fully connect everything. But I think I would prefer that as opposed to them just over-explaining everything at the end of the day. So maybe it's a little on the loose side, but I like that the director seems to trust his audience, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a balancing act, and I think he balances it mostly well. Nothing feels too info dumpy to me, although there is a lot of information being relayed, and the consequence of that is that we have now questions that really won't be answered, probably. Sure. You know?
Well, that's why I think I'm a little disappointed in the third act, because like as opposed to Randy, I feel like it is a little handholdy. You know, they do some things like we show the shots, the kids, they have the lie on their hands and their feet or whatever. You don't necessarily need this woman spelling everything out every beat of the way, especially because I agree, the beginning, you have these moments where some dialogue's given where people kind of set the rules up and stuff like that. You let things play out. You don't need somebody always like narrating what's actually happening. And then you have another moment. I just feel like he kind of loses that balance a little bit in the third act a little bit. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it starts really leaning into like what Pedro stands to lose, which makes it all the more frustrating that he's not like being, I don't know. I guess in this whole, like, as much as it seems like he's being proactive throughout the movie, but he's usually making the wrong decision if you look at it from a certain light. Like, yeah, I don't know, going to pick up your kids as opposed to like phoning your ex-wife and being like, there's a natural disaster about to happen. I know about it. I've seen it. I know I'm not supposed to come near you or whatever. So I didn't want to freak you out in person, but you need to get the kids away from there. I would really appreciate it if you met me somewhere. As anything like that, like, is a more sound decision. And if she doesn't do that, then you go and do the next step.
Get naked in her house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Option B.
Her performance was what? Ding dong. Her performance was one of the best in the movies when she finally has had it and she breaks down like, you were gone for 4 years. Not a single dollar came into this house. You know, why you can't stand to see me happy. You are ruining my life. You're ruining your kid's life. That was a really good performance. And then it pops off with the kid getting snatched by the dog. It was just a really intense moment that I kind of appreciate that it's not one of those things where I hammer on this one pretty hard, but like a Terrifier where it's like, I got to show you some fucked up shit. Right. There's so many good elements surrounding and building up to it. It feels like this natural build. Oh my God. You know, one person's so frustrated. He's scared for his kids. He's trying to explain himself. He's fucking naked. The woman breaks down. We get to feel like you feel why she would be so reluctant to hear anything from this man. A little girl gets snatched up from a dog. I mean, it all just kind of like builds in such a natural, good way with good performances and then some shock value and and it's still some world building kind of going on. Some, we're getting some insight into the characters. So I don't know. I think it's all just like built really well for the most part,
And we talked about the I don't know, his ideas about rural areas being ignored and all that stuff, and we talked about how it goes away after the first act, but it's like it gets supplanted with an emotional story that's like about this family or whatever. And I feel like it just kind of like if your goal, if the central thesis is that, then it really completely abdicates anything. It doesn't show anything about the broader society anymore. It is entirely centered on him. So I want there to be an internal conflict besides the obvious surface level something that's going on for him. If it's that he endangered his kids in the past, I just need to be a little bit more explicit if that's the case, because otherwise I'm still kind of just like guessing if that's the case, or if he's just trying to survive and like it's just something that they can taunt him with because it fucked up his life or because he fucked up. I don't know. Nobody likes this guy. Everybody fucking hates him. They treat him like shit. And we're led to believe that there's maybe good reason for it and maybe not, but we never resolve whether that's true. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like Pedro as a character. I can't get fully in his head because I don't know where he's coming from.
Now
with
there
a lot of
was
this stuff.
There was a moment that I also became disappointed in, and now that we're kind of picking this apart, I think maybe it could have driven. I know we're focusing a lot on the family, and even the director saying like, no, it's about the society. But I agree, it's like if it's about the society, you need to kind of focus on the society more. But there was this moment where I thought, especially on the second watch, I really picked up on it. But I remember thinking it in the first watch, where when they get to the house and they're kind of him and Pedro and Jamie are kind of talking a little bit. I thought there was this almost initiation to do a perspective switch more to Jamie, because then Jamie volunteers. Jamie knows this woman. We see the dialogue that they have. For the most part, it's been focused on Pedro, and a lot of the times Jamie's with him, but we get that whole scene where it's Pedro with his family. Jamie's not there. I thought we were doing a perspective switch. Jamie, taking this on now. Had we done this full on switch, maybe not gone so much with the school or worked it in some other way, you could have seen it as this way of like this brother who's doing everything to support his brother, Pedro, Jamie, trying to support his brother, and this kind of like toxic relationship where no matter what, how he tries to help his brother or what, how he tries to see him in a good light, you see like your brother destroy his family essentially through his terrible decisions, or something like being wanting to support somebody or trying to help them because you love them, but like kind of deep down knowing that they are this kind of toxic character and seeing them destroy their family and kind of like standing on the outside, not really be able to help. Now that could have been.
That is interesting, yeah.
And that's essentially kind of what happens. But I just think to kind of hammer that home, you would need to make that switch to Jamie.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you could kind of do both, but it's like I think that would be a more interesting that's a thread to follow. You know what I mean? Whereas the only thread that we end up following are the ones that are just like the Scooby-Doo clues of the situation. Mm-hmm. And that's all well and good because I'm enjoying that aspect of it because it's so unique and different. And like, but if it wasn't, if it was even a little bit more like run of the mill in that sense, it would be boring in the last act. Like, and that's not good for an act that features that much fucked up shit that should keep you engaged. Like, I don't know. I just feel like as well acted as all this is, and I think that like the guy who plays Pedro in particular does a great job with a few of those scenes, but I just can't get entirely in his head. I can't. My point of view character is a little bit of a mystery to me, even at the end, in such a way that I'm not clear what besides like the obvious, what his arc was. You know what I mean? It's just trying and failing in the face of insurmountable odds or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I guess there's 100 ways you could look at it, and none of them really feel satisfyingly conclusive for me. That's the part I want to be somewhat conclusive, and the ambiguity be about what this leads to in a broader scope.
It is kind of, the movie goes fairly full circle in a way, because like you start off with Pedro and Jamie. It seems as though all they have is each other. They're estranged from their family. They live together. They try and do something they think is good and necessary to save the town and end up destroying the town. And then at the end of the day, all they have is each other again in a more permanent sense now. So like, should they have just not intervened whatsoever? Like things maybe could have turned out better for them. Not really sure. Yeah. So I like that like full circle aspect.
That's interesting, yeah.
But maybe if we would have got more Jamie inserted into the third act, it would have felt a little more like full and less, I don't know, just airy. Maybe they could have had him like, crash his truck, walk through the town, see it in flames, see all kinds of crazy stuff, and then walk into the school because he sees the truck parked outside, and he could partake in the final act or what. I don't know, something a little more. But anyway,
that's interesting.
It didn't do that. So.
I don't know. We've been kind of complaining. Like, I don't want this to be like a big complainer thing because we all ranked this pretty high for the year. I think we all enjoyed it quite a bit. It's just like those are some things that I was looking for that even on second viewing I just wasn't really landing on.
I think we mentioned a lot of the positive too. I mean, I wanted to mention like the performances. We all said that there were really good performances in here. One reason I kind of thought that they were steering us toward Jamie a little bit too is Jamie's fashion was on point. There were certain things that drove my attention to Jamie, especially because his drip is on point. Like, I don't know. It just but not just like, oh wow, he like he's wearing nice things or anything. It was things that caught my eye. It felt like it was trying to pull my attention to that character.
I'm lonely.
Was it the extremely tight pants he was wearing?
No, it was his on point sweater.
Was it the pleather vest?
So aesthetically, I think there's some things that work really well in this movie too. I was trying to like kind of point out some different kind of positives too, just like maybe more subtle ones. And again, this is another movie we're going to be talking about, another one in just a couple weeks, but another movie focusing on fucked up kids, which for the most part I think handles it really well. Even the kids at the end, I'm kind of split on, but their creepy smile when the devil's born, I thought that was pretty on point.
Yeah, the kids were all right. They were creepy, adequately creepy. I was all right with them.
Yeah,
I think it was a lot to have like them constantly yelling things when they're there or whatever, trying to trick them. I understand narratively why that was the case, but it also like stole a little bit of that. Oh God, I forget the name of that movie, but the one with all the neighborhood kids becoming possessed, looking like pale motherfuckers. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. With the eyes, they got the kind of whitish eyes,
the white hair, and all that shit. I'm blanking on this name of this fucking movie, but
I'll look it up.
Village of the Damned.
Village of the Damned.
Village of the Damned. Yeah.
So yeah, like I was expecting a little bit more of that, and it does have that, but like there's just a little bit too much talky from them for that to like completely land for me. And the devil look to me,
yeah,
I don't know, a little underwhelming. I don't know what I don't know what to suggest, especially if there's budgetary concerns about it. But I think showing nothing at all or whatever, like doing it like the witch style, where it's like just a figure passing in the background, passing its claw over his head or something, and then walking out and just see like a silhouette or something. That could have worked fine. I did like that he was marked as well, so I want that part, but
with like some locusts flying out into the environment or something. It could have been something like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a million ways to do it. And like, I don't begrudge what they did. I just think it was like, I don't know. It didn't pack a punch for me, that reveal. It like narratively it did, but like visually it didn't in the same way that I would like it to.
I agree with that.
Are there any other major points you guys want to hit on before we rate this thing?
No, I don't think so.
No, okay. I think I'm good.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into it. Out of 5, Juice, why don't you kick us off? How do you feel about When Evil Lurks?
Yeah, going back to that New Year's resolution of staying positive, the positives. I really do like the world building. Bob mentioned it. You know, we kind of touched on a couple things, but for me, I really did like the world building. I thought setting up of the rules, especially initially, did not feel overdone or dialogue heavy. I don't know. It just kind of worked. We get a little bit. People seem unsure, maybe a little sure. Then we see how it actually plays out. So I like that. And, you know, there's some good horror things that they're able to play off that. The possession of, you know, the animals, the goat, you know, it's a simple thing. What's this shifty looking goat? What's he up to? What's he doing? You know, and just a little thing. But then, you know, it packs a punch and this woman axes herself in the face. Oh my God. So those were just really, I felt like well paced, surprising, but also like not like so surprising. I don't know. It just felt like a really good balance to me. The visuals, the idea of this possession presented in a different way that felt kind of localized. I like that. It worked really well for me. That guy looks fucking disgusting, so the effects were working really well. And then also playing off that kind of morality, you know, the kid, please, I'm cold. Can I come inside? And people like trying to make these kind of good decisions, also kind of feeling bad. I like that kind of push and pull. And even the middle act. So I feel like for me, the first act is the strongest. I feel like the second act is good. And that's where a lot more, the first one felt more taking its time, setting stuff up. I appreciated that, and I thought it was set up well. Second one's where things are popping off, you know, paying off for that setup. Things are going wild. Third act is where it really does kind of drop for me. It's where most of my negatives lie. You know, I feel like it did. I wanted more of the town. I wanted to see what happened kind of to society. Adding in these new rules at the very end, you know, what ultimately comes out of this giant guy. Why did they kill all the adults? The adults are doing the bidding of the devil too. I didn't see the need for that. And so I don't know. It really is the third act. Pedro, I think the very worst thing for me is the axe thing. I mean,
yeah.
He already doesn't trust these guys. He's slapping them around. And also this woman saying, Pedro, don't leave me. If anything, go with him. If you're so scared,
true, yeah.
You're a capable adult. And also, too, even just the kids getting the jump on this woman, they're all facing her from one direction. And she can run. I don't know. It felt like it kind of just needed to end. And things happened so that it could end in a comprehensive way. But I didn't think it was a particularly good way of ending it. And didn't feel like it matched the quality of the other two acts. Now, the mom eating out her kid's brain and this kid eating his grandma, holy shit, you know, those are impactful things that stick around for sure. But
boy, that cheese.
But yeah, following damn.
I love having my brain eaten out.
Yeah, but but following the narrative conclusion, it just didn't feel that impactful. And I did kind of want a little bit more Jamie. So yeah, I don't know. Some choices were made there at the end that I can't really make sense of, honestly. So yeah, ultimately though, I do like this movie. I think it was definitely in my top 10 for last year, and I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars. 4 stars
Nice.
out of 5. Randy, you need that much.
That's unheard of.
Randy, I'm taking hold over here. Randy, out of 5.
The iron
This
grip
train
is
is
slipping.
plowing off the tracks.
2024 is the year of soju. Randy,
Give me a goddamn second!
tell us,
Okay.
out of 5, where would you rank When Evil Lurks?
All right. Well, let's talk this through. I tend to agree with most of what you've said. I don't know that I dislike the third act as much as you do. I think that it's still. I like every part of this movie, at least as a vignette to in and of itself. I think that the very, very end, like the conclusion that you're talking about, the axe and all that stuff, that is the worst in the movie because it's such an obvious mistake. Whereas all his other mistakes are just like trying hard but not thinking clearly or whatever, or like being led along by some other asshole or whatever. And you can chalk those up to anything other than just sheer incompetence. And that's what we get in the final moments of this movie is this character who we've like really been feeling for becoming suddenly like not just a screw up, but like a fucking world-class screw up. Like that's an absolutely unforced error, that whole ending scene. So yeah, like that's a little frustrating, and maybe that leads into that point or whatever that I feel is not clear, or like with the central thesis, if you will. Like we talked about already, the negative for me is just like that there are like little things that you can point to and like talk about as themes in this movie, but they don't seem to like talk to each other very much, or they don't seem consistent throughout the film. It seems like it just kind of moves on from one topic to another, maybe a little bit. And those are things that frustrate me. However, that said, the surface level story is so fascinating, and the effects and performances are so good that I of course it's my top 10. Like, I really do think that it earns its spot in 2023's, big pyramid of success by just being so good at those other things. It's just that subtext that I'm particular about. And, that is a lot to do with my personal feeling toward, like, that's just my bias when I'm looking at films like this. This film feels like it should be coming to some rich conclusion, a rich thesis statement that we can parse apart the clear central theme. And I'm just not seeing it. And it could have everything to do with me being an idiot and this movie being above my head. But it might just be that the movie didn't communicate it as well as I feel like it should have, or that I needed it to. So that's my biggest complaint with this movie. And I mentioned all the little quibbles as well. I'm going to agree with Juice. I think this is 4 out of 5. I don't think that I think it definitely had room to improve itself. We made some suggestions that I think would have improved things just in the course of this podcast. But it also has room to grow in case I'm just like, somebody comes along and says, no, this movie was about this, and you're just too stupid to have realized it. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that makes perfect sense. Then it changes the whole game for me. And it probably bumps it up at least a half a point at that point. So it's a 4 out of 5 for me. Room to grow, but this is a damn good movie and well worth a horror fan's time. Yeah.
Bob,
Hey.
out of 5.
Oh.
Where would you put When Evil Lurks?
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said for the most part.
I can't hear you.
Something I will add is like the reason behind the possessed doing what they do is very unclear. I don't know, like, they become possessed and then also turn into cannibals, and I'm not totally sure why that happens if they're all just getting possessed at the end of the day anyways. Why they have to eat people so that this demon can be born, I don't get it, but it leads to some like really cool moments in the movie that are super shocking and like extremely memorable. So it does serve that. The idea of the cleaner having this sort of like telescope device thing that they use to kill possessed creatures with, like, I really wanted to see more of that and like how it worked.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a tease, like, Murta's setting it up, and then because Pedro's a dumbass, we don't ever get to see how it's used or anything. But I like that they have these like mystical tools that we don't like really get to know about. That's kind of a neat touch. I just kind of wanted a little more of it. The rules being what they are is interesting. I like that the society that this is taking place in is like completely like post church, like some, I forget what character, it might have been Pedro, who says like, all churches are dead. So like they're not believers. This is not like a Catholic type possession / exorcism happening. It's totally its own thing. And like I said, they did a really good job at sort of just throwing you into that story and not holding your hand along the way. There's a good sense of dread throughout this entire movie, and you definitely feel your characters being overwhelmed. Pedro has a really good moment at a gas station, I think, where they can't find the ice cream, and he like has a full-on breakdown. It's a really good...
Who hasn't been there?
Crying at a gas station because you can't find your...
Damn it, why don't they have Chipwich here?
Chipwich. It's discontinued, oh God! End times are here. Anyway, yeah, the performances are solid overall. The third act really just falls apart for me in a fairly big way. I also was a little bit confused at the very end with Jer eating the ice cream. Is he no longer possessed? Is he still possessed? Because he's not talking.
No, he's possessed
clearly anymore. So I guess he's just fooling his dad. Well, I guess.
Yeah, I think the sideways glance he gives to his dad is supposed to be indicative of it's an act. This thing's playing with him still. And I thought that was that was probably more chilling than the like pulling the hair out or whatever, is when he just gives him that sideways look and gets caught looking and then just jumps back. It's like some fucking, I don't know, it's like that Evil Dead scene where it's like, oh, is she looking at me? Oh, it's doing that little thing. I thought that was really, really well done. It just was placed poorly in the film.
Yeah. I like how the animals are affected by the spreading of this possession, and the idea that it's the demon has to like gestate over time, and this like big rotten like carcass of a person basically just pops and gives birth to the demon. All that's pretty cool. A lot of cool visuals. Unfortunately, the landing just wasn't totally stuck for me, but even though I still think the juice is worth the squeeze, like it's totally worth watching. So I'm a little bit cooler on this than you guys are, but it still was in my top 10. I still think it's a very good movie. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5, which is going to put our aggregate at a 3.8 for When Evil Lurks.
All right.
So
it's a pretty solid score.
Yeah, not bad at all. Let's jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about When Evil Lurks.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment. If you're new, hi, how's it going? I'm Andy.
Welcome. Welcome to the new year.
Welcome to ZomboCom, everyone.
We're happy to have you.
So
this is where we seduce new listeners an hour into the show.
Yes.
Welcome to the Rotten Tomatoes segment. I'm the ripest tomato in town, Randy, and I'm here to tell you, I'm here to have these two gentlemen guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score is for When Evil Lurks on RottenTomatoes.com. We're going to start with the critics and then move on to the users. Bob, we'll start with you on the critics today. There are 105 critic reviews of this film. Where do you think that percentage of positive scores lies on that scale?
I think it's going to be
terrible phrasing.
You'll get there. I think it'll be pretty high. How high do we go? This seemed to be mostly a critical darling amongst like the horror crowd, though. So maybe some of like the normie critics with all like the child violence and stuff, maybe they would take a big doo-doo on this, actually. So maybe I'll walk that back.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong?
Well, tell me that I'm wrong, bro. I'll go relatively high with I'll take the comedy number of 69, please.
Ooh, 69.
69, dudes!
Hey, Rob, did you know that is the comedy number?
I learned it today.
Wow. What a time. How about you, Juice? Where are you coming in on this one? Bob got the comedy number. Where are you going? Up, over, under, beyond?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little more positive. And so I'll give it a little bit more space, but not too high, because I do think it's not an easy watch. It is brutal, and it does have some problems, as we pointed out. So I think I'll put it at a 75.
75. All right. So we got a 69 and we got a 75. Doing some quick brain math. Beep, boop, bop, bop. Man, this is a 23% difference from the winning
Holy
score. Shit. This is a certified 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
What? Holy
Juice
shit.
is going to take it, but not by a slim margin.
What?
How many critics were there?
Bucko 5?
105.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is 98%
a lot. is
for a Shudder
shocking for a movie this gory.
Exclusive.
Like, this movie has a lot of things going against it in terms of like what you expect from critics, and man, it surpasses them with flying colors, at least for now. Let's see if another
Fuck
year
them
of being
kids.
on there changes things. But
yeah, everybody's feeling that.
People just dying to see dogs eat kids. That's the new thing.
Hell yeah! Finally, someone had the balls to do it.
I've always wanted to see a kid get eaten by a dog. All right. The audience score, let's move on to that real quick. There's over 500 audience ratings for this film. We're going to start with Juice, go in reverse order here. What do you think the audience thought of this film? Aggregate positive.
Ooh, this is tougher. It's got to be lower. I mean, can't really go higher than 98. Not too much, but
say 99. Don't be a coward.
No. I'm going to say 70. I think it's going to be lower.
70. All right, Bob, how about you?
I'll take the over with an 80, please.
80. Okay. Well, you'll be pleased to know that the winning answer is only 1% point off here, almost a ringy ding. And Bob's going to take this one. That's 81% positive.
Damn.
Still
all right.
Very, very positive. Holy
all
cow.
Right. We got ourselves a hell ye and a hell skeet.
The old yeet
man.
schemes.
Way to start off the year 1-1, Bob. We're keeping track this year.
We are keeping track. By we, that better mean you, because I'm sure as shit not keeping track.
Same.
Randy's made a spreadsheet and everything. The hell you
I make so many spreadsheets. I'm not making another fucking spreadsheet.
Spread
Never
them
again.
sheets, Randy.
Well, yeah, that sheet I'll spread. That's fine. All right, let's read what the critics' consensus says. It says, a hard-hitting horror film whose surface-level frights are just as engaging as its thematic concerns. When Evil Lurks marks a viscerally unsettling addition to the possession horror canon. And I agree with most of that. It's the thematic concerns that I'm just kind of like I said, I haven't nailed down yet for myself.
Fuck them kids, the movie. That's it.
I guess so.
The Eberts of the world, they're just smarter than me, and I think that's totally fair. All right, and now we're going to read the audience. What audience says is what they call it. We don't always get these, but these new movies, they're starting to have this. The audience says, when Evil Lurks holds nothing back in its mission to unsettle the viewer and mostly succeeds, even if it starts stronger than it finishes. And I think we're right on par with that.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our scores are close, 81, a couple fours over here.
Of our fours, certainly. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that worked out real nice. Real good. And now we're going to read, as we always do, some negative reviews because they are often the funnier of the two. If I can find the damn thing. Here we go. Okay, I had to sift through quite a bit. So there's 2 negative reviews from the critics. I'm just going to read them both. First one says, it's not a reinvention due to his graphic imagery and unsatisfactory shock factor that feels undercooked towards the end. I mean, I don't know. The shock factor seems pretty well baked to me. I don't know. That part I'm not concerned with. It's not I don't know why it wouldn't be a reinvention. I don't know what she's getting at. So I guess that's without context, it's a little hard to understand what she's saying.
Wrong.
Do it again. But it is wrong. I think we all can agree on that.
Oh, yes.
And then the next one is, when Evil Lurks could have worked so well as a black comedy. Unfortunately, it wants to be taken seriously, and I cannot. I don't know what the fuck kind of black comedies this guy's want.
There's nothing I don't even know what kind of comedic beats I could even point to in this.
Yeah, what the fuck is making you think this should be a comedy?
I don't remember anything comedic happening in this film.
We just didn't get it.
I guess maybe it's that South American comedy. It's real dry. real dry.
God, it's so dry. Yeah, When Evil Lurks, man, is not even remotely a comedy. The only thing I can think of in this entire thing that made me giggle a little was Uriel, and like I said, like if you take that outfit if you put that outfit in Slither, it becomes a part of a horror black comedy. You know what I mean?
When they're trying to load him in the truck.
Yeah, we need to cover Slither. Damn.
We could have last year, but
we could have it's been on a couple polls. It's fine, Bob. Get over yourself.
The people don't want it. Okay,
I think they do want it, but I guess not enough.
Clearly not. The scoreboard. Mm-hmm. All right, that's it for Rotten Tomatoes. Bob, do you have any more trivia?
I pretty much mentioned what there was, which wasn't a lot. So we can roll right into Cooter of the Week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the Week.
Juice, what is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
Well, this is a new segment we're doing here in 2024, so let me go ahead and tell you all about it. Cooter is a character type, and we're calling it a straight chillin' exclusive. You have to hit...
What is exclusive short for?
Exclusive.
Oh,
yeah, no problem. So there are 5 points to this cooter scale, you see, and you have to hit at least 3 to be labeled as a cooter. But we want whoever has the most cooter points, you see, because you can get up to 5.
Hold up, Professor. I'm not a scientist.
Bust out the abacus.
The 5 points of cooterdom are, yeah, we're counting. I guess we kind of are.
Sexual 10 points of cooterdom.
Sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall looking attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, is there a cooter in this movie?
I'm not sure.
Mystery demon, I think.
I mean,
well,
yeah, Lucifer, Beelzebub. I think that's
Could we just attach it to Uriel or whatever? If we say he's, we got to look in attire.
Sure.
That's part
He
of
does. I mean, his attire is atrocious. I have to say, he could at least put on some pants. You know,
This in here is leaking.
Yeah, this man's leaking.
Tastes like lime.
Maybe I'll take care of this leaking man.
I will say there wasn't really any kind of I could be speaking out of turn, but I don't remember any kind of strong sexual vibes coming out of anything here.
No, there isn't honestly, as brutal as this movie is, it could have gone with some sexual violence of some kind, but I'm glad I didn't because it's just like one additional prong of discomfort that I was happy to dodge.
I really wanted the sexual violence.
Minus a star. Anyways, so yeah, that's not really a movie. Anywho,
so yeah.
Yeah, the mystery demon manipulation for sure, attire, smug arrogance. Like some of the possessed folks say some pretty fucking smug things.
Yeah, I mean, but they kind of always have the upper hand, so that kind of diminishes patheticness, and also I don't know how arrogant it is if you've got all the power in a situation to where you can just play with your food the entire movie.
Yeah, that little kid's pretty smug as he strolls on by, anointing Pedro, just kind of grazing him
That's
lightly.
True.
Fucking kid.
He's got a little arrogant streak, that little brat.
Fuck them.
Put him in the
kids.
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Yeah, the sexual deviance. I think it's
manipulation on point. Yeah,
it's lacking sexual deviancy and patheticness, I think, but everything else is there, so it qualifies.
Yeah.
The only other person I thought maybe we could pick apart a little bit. Well, that's not true. So I'll throw two out, and we'll see which one we want to go with. Possibly Pedro, and also possibly the ranch owner. Can't remember his
Ruiz.
name. Yeah, Ruiz.
Yeah. So those two. So which one do you think has a stronger case? What do you think?
I mean, I think
I want to talk about Pedro.
Okay, we can talk about Pedro. To me, as far as the vibe check gives the Cooter award to Ruiz. He's just hitting that vibe a little harder, I think. But let's go to the numbers and find out.
Okay. So Pedro, let's break it out. We could say in some kind of way, it's kind of mean spirited, it seems like, but maybe patheticness. When the wife kind of breaks down that he's essentially an absentee father. Yeah, he's got a kid with special needs. He's not sending any money. Apparently he's just drunk, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember. She said he was drunk or
if he closed that the heater. I don't know. He closed
exhaust or something.
Yeah, I guess the exhaust. So either he did it intentionally, trying to burn the house down or kill folks, or he was just not paying attention to what he was doing, which is
he was just drunk or something, which is possible.
Yeah, so I don't know. Patheticness for sure for not showing up for his kids and all. Also, maybe
and getting tricked by a bunch of kids, even though he should have absolutely known.
That's pathetic.
Yeah,
that moment is absolutely pathetic. It's dude, how are you not smarter than this at this point? God damn. So I think he hits patheticness there. He doesn't manipulate shit. He can barely manipulate his own fucking life, so he doesn't get that. That's true. I don't know.
Manipulate my life.
You sympathize with him a little bit because people do treat him like shit. You find out why to some extent, and it's a little unclear, but you still are expected to root for him. I don't know. He's flawed, but I'm not sure exactly how much.
No,
so it's hard to say.
No sexual deviance.
Mm-hmm.
And
he does get naked in front of a little girl.
He does.
It's out of duty.
It is. Just throwing that out there.
Manipulation.
I don't think he manipulates. A smug arrogance. I don't really know if he's arrogant either. Maybe he's just pathetic, and that kind of sticks out. That's sad.
I think it's mostly just pathetic, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the other guy then.
Yeah, let's go to Ruiz because he's definitely he's more of a loudmouth. So that's something that to me speaks to a Cooter a little bit. He's pig-headed as fuck.
Manipulation, the way he kind of takes this guy out of the house and kind of manipulates these, they're staying on his land. So he kind of has the upper hand to get them to help. Feels kind of manipulative, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
smug arrogance in that way too. I think he's like, they're just trying to get my land, and then also too, his wife's like, don't shoot the goat, and he just like shoots the goat anyways.
As soon as it paws, it's that that sends him over the edge.
Yeah, hey, I have a question about that, by the way, completely tangential, but like, was I supposed to notice something about that goat that made it seem threatening? Because they were just managed to pick it out of a crowd. It's like, that's the evil one, and it's like. Until it's like was the only one that standing. You couldn't say.
Yeah, that's until he shot his gun.
What tipped you off? I'm just curious.
And they all ran away, but that one. I was like, oh yeah, that one's fucked up. But yeah.
Okay, then yes, and it walked up and like put its face on the muzzle of the gun. Yeah. So yes, but before that, they clocked it immediately. I'm like, man, their radar's on point, I guess. Anyway,
I don't
tangent.
know. Yeah.
Man knows his goats.
His wife
I know my goats.
His wife's got the eye.
No.
True. She did.
So yeah, I would say manipulation, smug arrogance.
Looking attire, it's pretty standard clothing situation.
No sexual deviance really in this film at all.
So pathetic.
So is he pathetic?
I don't know that he quite hits that.
Yeah, not like Pedro. Yeah,
no,
it's
not in any real specific sense.
Right.
I can't think of an instance of him being very pathetic. I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Demon. Blood-soaked child demon thing.
There's going to be some hell to pay here.
Hell to pay. Lock him up. We got him.
I'll mention this and what you've been watching. Go ahead, Bob. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, it's time to kick our feet up, let our hair down, relax, and talk about what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
I'm gonna kick my hair up, put my feet down.
Kick your whatever, wherever you wanna. Juice, since you're chopping at the bit, why don't you tell us what you've been watching?
Well, just real quick, based on what Randy's little bump played, I somehow found myself watching a WWF match that was Scotty 2 Hotty and Grandmaster Sexay versus The Big Show. I don't know how that happened.
What year was that?
2000, I believe.
Okay, I was going to say that's
Too Cool. They were called Too Cool. That was their tag team name.
Wow, that's a great name.
It was something I think that was suggested to me on YouTube. It was about 5 minutes. I watched it. It was something. Anyways.
If I have any more fun today, I don't think I'm going to be able to take it.
I couldn't take it. All right. So wrapping up stuff back from Christmas. Watch Charlie Brown Christmas. You got to do it. Watch Die Hard. Man, that movie kicks so much ass. That one's so much fun. It just so happens to be a Christmas movie, but it's just it's like one of the best action films. It's just so fun.
Wow. Whoa. Hot take.
Yeah, I know. Well, I got some fresh takes for you over here.
That's a film bro take if I've ever heard one.
Yes. Here's one. Watch Die Hard 2. I'm not crazy about that one. It's pretty watered down. No, it's got some okay moments, but there's a dude doing naked karate in a hotel. It's kind of weird.
I want to see that.
What's that fucker's name? It's really great. That I like Die Hard 2. It's not as good as the first by any means, and it is watered down. But I like specifically that actor, and I'm gonna have to look up his name. But he was in The Mist also. He was like the Rube who's like, "Oh, I'm sick of your shit. I'm gonna go and turn on this generator."
Shit. Yeah.
What's
damn.
His name?
Who gets talked into the
cult?
Bullshit. Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah. Damn. Okay.
Andy's death from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yeah.
William Sadler. There it is. Great character actor. I fucking love that guy.
When we did gingerbread houses at like Christmas Eve or something, I threw on YouTube. YouTube had the Rankin Bass like old school ones with the commercials, like way back. It was pretty cool. So with that, I watched Rudolph, Frosty, a movie. Oh, and then the final Christmas movie I think I watched was Family Man with Nick Cage.
Is that a Christmas movie? I remember seeing that in theaters, but I didn't remember.
It starts off on Christmas.
Based.
Yeah, actually he moves past Christmas, but it starts off on Christmas Eve and he wakes up in his new life on Christmas. Yeah.
It's how is that movie? I haven't seen it in years.
It's dated. Okay. It's okay for like a date-ish kind of night, but it's not something I feel like I need to go back to anymore.
It's a date film.
I had seen it a long time ago, but I had forgotten most of it. But
all right, good to know.
New films. I watched Saltburn, which I liked a lot. I liked that main actor. I always forget his name, but I think he's good. And he was in Banshees of Inisherin.
Barry Kagan.
Yeah.
He's great. I don't know the first thing about that movie, but like since it came out streaming, people have been really putting the hype on it. So
I liked it. I liked it. It was might have to cover that one on the old Creature Comforts. I watched, I think, Elemental, that Pixar movie that came out last year with the fire girl, the water boy, and it was cute. It was cute. I liked some of the world building that they did there of like how the elements kind of live together, and it's like fire's destructive, so they're kind of like discriminated a little bit. It was cute. It was a cute little movie, honestly.
Sounds like Zootopia in many ways.
Well, yeah, kind of. Except they're yeah, kind of. Now that I'm thinking about it, I guess so. I watched The Killer, and yeah, that movie was kind of hard to fall into. There wasn't ever a time where I thought I'm not watching. I never like fell into it. I always was aware that I kind of needed to finish it because it was David Fincher's new film. You know, it was kind of one of those where I was like,
oh God, your film bro is showing.
Dude, yeah, I mean, kind of. And I really did think like, I could finish this or not, but I should because, it's David Fincher. So.
One of the greatest fight scenes of the year, though, in that movie.
It really was. That scene was the best for sure. Yeah. And I mean, there was good. I mean, everything technically was good. Yeah. There was a really great dialogue that he has. The dinner scene.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's good. It just
doesn't leave as much
grab me.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't leave as much of an impression as some. Like it's still as meticulously good as any Fincher movie is, except it's just doesn't amount to as much.
Except the narrative just doesn't really do much. I don't know. I don't know. Don't really do.
Maybe
much.
It's a creature comfort. Who knows?
Maybe. Well,
I'm going to say that about everything that you mentioned from now on.
Okay, I watched Chicken Run too.
Creature comfort.
Oh, that sounds like a real creature comfort.
Oh, well. So yeah, that came out, I think, last year, and it's on Netflix, I believe. And I hadn't thought about Chicken Run in a long time. And I liked that movie as a kid when I was younger. This one is not as good as the first one. And especially it's like so much distance they put between it, time wise, but I mean, it's fine enough, cute enough, but nothing special. And then finally I watched Only Lovers Left Alive, which is a vampire flick and something that I will be talking about coming up soon, with somebody special on a certain thing that's happening. More on that later. But I had never seen it before. Yeah, I had never seen it before. And it's a vampire flick with Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston. Yeah. And maybe somebody else is it. Oh, that kid who died who's in Green Room.
Yeah. Oh.
He's in it.
Oh, no. I'm looking at
Anton
Yelchin. And
Yelchin.
Yeah. Well, Yelchin, that's right.
He was in it. And so, yeah, actually, that was a pretty cool. I think it's from 2013. Pretty cool film. It's got some good or some just interesting takes on vampirism and just an interesting style that is very vampire-esque, but also not. It's a good blend of the kind of things you would expect and also what you wouldn't expect. I liked it. I liked it pretty good.
It's a Jim Jarmusch movie. It's probably the most accessible Jim Jarmusch movie I've ever seen.
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with his work. What's his other popular stuff?
Another one that you might know is The Dead Don't Die. Came out a few years ago.
No.
Had Adam Driver in it, Bill Murray. It's another pretty eclectic cast, and it's kind of a zombie movie, but kind of not.
Huh. Okay.
Coffee and Cigarettes is the one I've seen from him.
I've seen Coffee and Cigarettes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's him.
That's a big time college film. I think I watched
a lot of his
back from my film bro days.
A lot of his movies are kind of like that, though. Like you find Jarmusch in college and you blast through them. At least that's.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
Night on Earth, Tom Waits was in Dead Man. Is that the name of the movie?
I'm pretty sure Tom Waits was also in Cigarettes and
he is Coffee and Cigarettes. He and Iggy Pop are together.
Yeah. He did the score for some of his movies. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, that's interesting, huh? Oh, no, that was it. That's all I had left. So yeah, I'll be talking more about that soon. Bob, what you been watching, my guy?
Okay, a few things. I watched Lethal Weapon for the first time since God knows when, since I was a kid probably, and I totally forgot that was a Christmas movie. It just so happened I put it on around Christmas time.
Okay.
And it held up pretty well. Good action movie, good performances, definitely treats depression and mental illness in a way that like people would probably frown on today. But other than that, like it was thoroughly entertaining, and I did enjoy watching it. I also watched a handful of new releases. That movie No Hard Feelings. It's a Netflix joint with old what's her fucking face?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Mother. Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence in it.
Oh. Mother.
Mother.
Mother, please.
It's like a sex comedy where this super wealthy family hires her to date their kid, their 18-year-old kid who's about to go off to college. He's like never had a girlfriend, and she's supposed to like, I don't know. Fuck
I had
him.
no idea that's what that movie was about.
Just supposed to date this kid and fuck him so he can go to college and not be a virgin, I guess. So it's not particularly funny. It's not like as raunchy as you might expect it to be, with the exception of this one.
That's unfortunate.
I mean, it's not going to be anything else. It's got a few jokes that are okay. It's got this really bizarre scene in the movie where Jennifer Lawrence is on the beach, like completely naked, fighting like 4 teenagers. It is fucking weird, man.
I'm just gonna watch that scene. I'm not gonna lie.
It's weird. It's not funny, but I think
you piqued my interest.
It's supposed to be funny, but it's not. It's just fucking weird, dude. I don't know.
Well, I'll give my opinion on that next week.
Not a great movie. I watched Barbie finally, and I thought it was pretty solid. Actually, had like a lot of jokes that landed for me, particularly this one, like Matchbox 20 gag, fucking slayed my ass. The set design is like really neat, and I think the way they tackled making a movie about a Barbie doll, it was like pretty interesting. And I also think like when you watch the movie, you can just feel like how much fun these actors are having while they're making the movie, and that joy kind of like came through, which is probably my favorite thing about it. It just felt like everybody was having such a good time when they were doing it. The messaging
so worried now because it's so hyped and I haven't seen it yet. I'm like, shit.
Don't let the hype train abuse you, because
I'm trying to keep it down. Yeah.
The messaging
it's on my list too, but
the messaging is like on the nose. It's not. It is exactly what you would expect it to be. But if you're in it just for like a pleasant ride, you'll have some chuckles. So
honestly, like I thought the messaging, like it is kind of on the nose, but it's also kind of confused in itself. Like there's some weirdness in that movie that is experimental and makes it more interesting ultimately, but it's just I don't know that it's like as straightforward as all that, as I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For my money.
Okay.
Anyway.
I liked Barbie. I watched Poor Things in the theater.
Oh, how was that?
Really good. Super good movie.
Everybody's saying
I've only heard amazing things. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm dying to see that.
This is the latest from Yorgos Lanthimos. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I think that's his name. He previously did The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer and a bunch of other weird ass movies.
Love Killing of a Sacred Deer.
This is very much a Frankenstein story. Emma Stone is the Frankenstein's monster, and Willem Dafoe is the Frankenstein character, Dr. Frankenstein in this movie. So he finds her corpse floating in the river, and he reanimates her, and she is basically just discovering what life is, and it's very sexual. It is probably the horniest movie I've seen all year. There is...
And the light to the senses! This is my friend!
There is so much sex in this movie. It's crazy. It's like a 2-hour, 20-minute runtime or so, and like half of it's just fucking. It's like... that's probably an exaggeration, but there's a lot of it.
Damn, I got some stuff to watch for next week.
Do your thing.
Justin's poorly concealing an erection right now.
I'm scribbling notes over here.
Poor things. It's got Mark Ruffalo in it as well. The cast is fucking just incredible. Mark Ruffalo plays this guy who like falls head over heels in love with Emma Stone. And she's like, so she has no filter the way like a child would, because she's basically got a child's brain. So she just like says exactly what she thinks. And she sort of like discovers her vagina, and he fancies himself as this like cocksmith. And she just fucking, I don't know, dismantles him. It's very funny. The movie's very fucking funny. And very it's beautifully shot. The cinematography is like wonderful. There's a decent portion of it that's in black and white, and it eventually becomes color. Cool. There's just some like really weird off the wall comedic moments that are.
Is it like horror adjacent? Is it horror enough that like we're kind of like, damn, wish we could have covered that? Or
I think we could talk about it on the show because it is straight up a Frankenstein story. There's a little bit of blood and guts in it, but like not a ton. You do get to see some of his other like creations running around and stuff, but it is like primarily a black comedy that's a Frankenstein story. So watch it. It's
how many kids get eaten by dogs in that movie?
0 kids.
What the fuck?
It is.
What kind of black comedy is that?
Must not be horror, though.
It is the horniest.
That's how I'm measuring films now.
Must not be horror. Watch it, though. It's fucking great. Poor things. I also saw, this is my last one, Iron Claw in the theater. Saw that today just a couple
I'm dying to see that
ago.
shit.
Randy, it is made for you. It is a movie fucking made for
I don't know. What the hell is this? Iron Claw?
New A24 joint.
Wrestling drama.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I do. Yeah.
About the Von Erich family, which I didn't know about, but I'm not surprised to know that you know all about that shit, Randy.
Not as much as you'd think. That was before my time. I am vaguely aware, so I'm excited to go in with like a mostly blank palette, just had the broad strokes in.
It's sad. It is a fucking sad movie.
What? A sad wrestling movie?
Get out of town. Zac Efron plays the kind of the main character in it. I forget what his name is off the top of my head in the movie, but that dude is so jacked in this movie. It is insane. Yeah, man. All the characters are pretty much just beefed out of their minds. Jeremy Allen White, the guy from The Bear, he's also in it.
Yeah,
jacked out of his mind. It's amazing performances overall. It's extremely interesting story. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It's fucking really, really sad though. So be prepared for a really sad movie.
To be bedazzled? Oh, damn.
Be prepared to be fucking sad and bedazzled. That is all I've been watching this week. Randy, what you been watching?
Yeah, so I'm going to burn through the Christmas stuff first. I also watched Die Hard. I might check out Lethal Weapon next year then if it's also Christmas adjacent, because that, in my mind, Die Hard and Lethal Weapon are like the two benchmark action films, certainly of their era. And I don't know, it seems like it would
takes over here.
Not at all. But yeah, so I watched that and it's always good, as always. And then there was It's a Wonderful Life. I did get a chance to finally sit down and watch that again. I didn't think I was going to, but I got a chance. And it was great. I actually saw it colorized all the way through for the first time.
I don't think I've ever seen it colorized.
It's available. I mean, that's a public domain movie, so it's like if you go on Amazon Prime, like you'll see that version, another version, a version with a terrible soundtrack, like all kinds of shit. So I hadn't seen it colorized. It was kind of fun. I still prefer the black and white. It just
you gotta watch it black and white.
But I probably won't go back to the color again. But it was a nifty try. I also watched Barbie again, mostly because Beck was saying that there's a sign language interpreter throughout the entire movie. There's a version that you can watch on HBO Max, and it's like the first time they've done that, I guess, where it's like a person on screen doing the signing and basically acting out the parts in many ways. And I thought that was really interesting. So we watched it for that reason. I didn't really particularly need to see it again, but having seen it again, I'm like, yeah, this is a good movie. It's fine. You know, I don't think that it's earth shattering. I don't think it's a rewatcher for me, really. But I don't know. There's got a little bit of confusion in the back and in the under the hood. I think just a little bit, at least for me. But I think maybe the conclusion I'm coming to is just I'm too stupid to be a film bro. Anyway,
right. This is positive 2024.
Randy's just balancing the scale.
Oh, you stay positive. I'll be realistic.
I'm the positive one. I'm usually a bitter old bitch, but not this year.
Usually. I also watched Leave the World Behind, which we talked about at length on Slack. I liked it a little bit more than you guys did. Not a perfect movie by any means, though. Very strange that it was produced by the Obamas. I thought that was
weird.
Like, it is very strange to see that name on a credit reel.
Yeah.
And then on the way on our travels to see family, we listened to an entire season of Dr. Death, the true crime podcast that's centered it was called Miracle Man. I guess it's a little older now. And I think there's a Dr. Death TV show that has a season about this out already where it's like acted. I saw the first season of that show. I listened to the first season of the podcast and I liked it quite a bit. This one is a lot more like they always deal with like the failures of the medical community to catch these like reckless doctors before they hurt people. It's always on blast. And that's never been more clear than in this one, because this is like a really high profile doctor that was like getting a lot of like real, like he's a snake oil salesman ultimately, but like he sold that shit at the high level. Like it's kind of crazy.
There's nothing wrong with a little snake oil in your cereal in the mornings. Okay. Keeps you healthy.
All right.
Buy it now on straightchilling.com.
The Straight Chilling brand snake oil. Check the oil, people.
We use fresh snakes.
In the true crime realm, we only squeeze the freshest snakes.
Fresh from the womb. We just crush them.
What the fuck?
Straightchilling.com.
Yes. Also in the true crime realm, watched a documentary film called Hell Camp Teen Nightmare. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this or I don't know how big this movie is or small, but Beck threw it on and it was interesting. It's about those challenge camps that you may remember from the 90s when everybody's like, my kid's out of control. So I went on Maury and Maury sent him to a survival camp for 6 months. And it's like this camp where people go and they're like, they kind of do tell both sides of it where they're like, they do give a positive side to it. Some people like came out better for it, but it's supposed to be like troubled teens going there. And a lot of times that's not the case. And the people they hire there aren't always on the level. And a lot of the shit they talked about was horrific. Like some kids died, like, and this guy that started this course, rather than take that L and like he managed to get out of any culpability, but still kept doing this fucking camp just in different places. Very fucked up. It's an interesting story though, nonetheless. It kind of touches on like a little bit adjacent to like the satanic panic sort of thing, except it's like moral drug panic more than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, interesting documentary. And last, I have a list of games that I've been playing. The first is a board game, which was gifted to me by our very own Nasty Nate. Horrified American Monsters. So this is the Bigfoot El Chupacabra Jersey Devil edition of the Horrified game, the cooperative board game, which has some of the best fucking visual design in the gaming world right now, in the board game world. I love the look of these games, and it's a lot of fun. I played it with my parents. We almost didn't make it through the rule book, but we did, and we managed to get far enough to actually play a game, and we actually had a good time. It's one of those games where you really have to hurdle that rule book the first time, and then you get it. After that, I played some Jackbox games with the folks, some that I hadn't played before. That shit's always fun. And then I bought 2 games for the Switch. One is a sort of like all small art indie game by Aperna Interactive, I think, made it, which they also made like that Edith Finch game and a couple others that I like. So I checked it out. It's called Kentucky Route Zero, and I've only started it. It's a very strange game. It's like kind of a point and click adventure, but it's very stylish, but it's also very confusing and odd. It reminds me a little bit of like a Twin Peaks Dream Logic-y sort of thing going on. So I like it naturally. And then probably my best get as far as games and my favorite thing on this list right now is Tetris Effect, which I've liked Tetris fine. I've always liked Tetris fine. I've played it. It can be, relaxing, soothing, or it can be like challenging and fun and like keep me engaged and keep me addicted. But this is like the most zen game I've ever fucking played. It is like when you are moving this thing, or the tetraminos as they're called, around, there's like this beautiful music that's playing, and like the speed matches the music, and when you move things it like plays into the music, so like you actually impact the sound. It's very fucking fun and beautiful, and it's done in Unreal. Like it's got these beautiful like scapes or whatever. Like I don't know, I recommend it. It's like my zen game for real right now, and it's very affordable. I think it was like $30 or something, and it's got a lot of modes, it's got a lot of stages, got a lot of songs. Ultimately, it's like a very musical version of Tetris. I highly recommend it. Finally done.
Wild.
Yeah, sounds
cool. Check it out. It's tough to describe, but when you start playing it and you're like actually like whenever you turn the thing, it sounds like it belongs in the song. Like it's and every stage has an entirely different soundscape to it.
Weird.
Very fun.
Nice. Cool.
That's it for me.
That was a lot of shit from all of us. Damn.
Yeah.
It's been like 2 weeks, to be fair.
Yeah, it has been a while. Let's go ahead and get into our final segment of the show, which is, of course, our Hotline Screams.
Hotline Scream.
If you are listening and would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got 2 voicemails this week. First up, we're going to hear from David. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hi, this is David. I've been listening to the podcast for a couple of years now. I started right around when y'all did the Halloween 2018 episode. And I just have to say, it's really, really awesome to kind of hear normal guys just talking about horror movies in a depth that you guys go to. So thanks. I'm just finishing up my Christmas shopping, and I just finished listening to the 7 episode. That movie's just a freaking classic, isn't it? You can never go wrong with 7. I did not realize how much of a knockoff of 7 that Saw was until you guys pointed that out, and then I rewatched Saw and I was like, oh my god, this is literally 7. But yeah, I just finished shopping for Christmas. I got my nephew this fun Bluey toy that he's been asking for, so I'm really excited to see him open that up. You guys just have a Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or whatever holidays you guys celebrate. Just make sure to have a happy one, and I hope 2024 brings you guys everything y'all deserve. Thanks, and keep chilling. Bye.
All right. Nice.
What a way to kick off 2024.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Really pleasant.
Deeply complimentary.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a win when I get described as a normal dude. I'll take it, man. Give me that.
No,
that's what I strive for.
Elevated professionals.
We are film bros, Randy. That's what we are.
Oh my
God. Thanks for calling, David, though. That was very, very nice to hear from you, man. I hope you had a very lovely Christmas and a happy new year. And yeah, I'm glad you enjoy the show. Thanks for tuning in, dude. Thanks for calling. Don't be a stranger. Call in again.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Appreciate you.
Echoed.
Faux show. Bluey's all the rage, dude. Jokers love
I heard a lot about it. I know it's on like Disney, right? I've just never. I think
it's like a preschool type of show that is actually like adults are okay watching, which is hard to find.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's popular shit.
So yeah,
way to go, David, picking up the good shit. We got one more voicemail. Next up, we're going to hear from your boy Steve. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hey, fellas. Jet Ski Steve here. I'm calling from my car Bluetooth. I hope you guys can hear me okay. So I am on the way home from seeing Godzilla -1 for the, 8th time. Count them, motherfucking 8 times. Step your game up, boys. Just kidding. I don't have as many movies to review as you guys. I don't have any movies to review. I don't review movies. Holy shit. This movie is fucking phenomenal. It's so good. Obviously, my 8th viewing, I legitimately cannot get over how fucking good this movie is. Holy shit. Like, the music, just the emotion, everything is so good. Man, when they're putting their plan into action and they say, all right, commence Operation Wakasabi or whatever it is, and the music kicks in and they start those destroyers towards Godzilla, I was ready to pull my friggin' dick out and just start pounding off in the theater. That's how fucking good this movie is. All right, I'm going to try and calm down. Anyway, reason I'm calling. So, how are you? So, a couple weeks ago I called and said, hey, I just watched the Shin Godzilla and I listened to your episode and there was a voicemail from me on there. Wow, what a coincidence. So the plot thickens. This movie has kicked me down the Godzilla rabbit hole. So I just watched the 54 original version for the first time ever. I hadn't seen it. Glaring hole in my movie, whatever you want to call it. I know. But I saw it, and I went to listen to your episode on that, and lo and fucking behold, what do we have? Another voicemail from Steve on the original Godzilla episode. So, I don't know what's going on, man. I'm like psychically linked to you guys and Godzilla. It's pretty nuts. I don't think there's going to be a fourth or a third coincidence, so I'm going to stop looking here because I don't think it's going to happen again. But hey, maybe you guys will do another one, and I'll leave a voicemail on that, and I don't know, that'll just be my thing. I'm just a weirdo. So good. I'm also, I can't believe you guys didn't talk about the atomic breath. Holy shit. It's like a nuclear bomb. Nobody brought that up in your episode. Maniacs. So that was it. Also, I just saw that movie Underwater with a lesbian chick from Twilight and the movie Life about the crazy alien. They're pretty good. They're worth a watch, I thought. Also, New Year's Day is my birthday, so happy birthday, Steve. And I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. I have 9 seconds left. Okay, love you guys. Bye.
Steve found the cocaine.
Happy birthday, Steve. We're recording.
Yeah, happy
birthday, buddy.
Damn.
Happy and many happy Godzillas to you. If you could, 8 times is.
I don't think I've ever watched
beyond.
any movie in the theater. Maybe Jaws, just because it comes on 4th of July.
Well, yeah,
Other than that, no.
Maybe 3 times in the theater max for
Not
me.
a new movie.
Yeah, The Shining I've seen in theaters like 3 times. I don't think there's very many movies I've seen more than once in theaters. Like very few.
One I specifically remember seeing The Dark Knight 3 times in theaters.
Saw it probably twice actually. Yeah. Anyway, like that's a Herculean
not
feat.
8. Yeah,
that's nuts. Godzilla -8 is quite a feat.
The Lost World 3 times in theaters. That's I think that might be the only.
Steve's about to kick off his journey, man. He's about to go into the great beyond of fucking Godzilla stuff. There's just so much of it.
Yeah,
I haven't.
We've actually, we were mentioning last time. We've actually covered a decent amount. I would say maybe
6.
Most of the
8,
recent shit.
Yeah. The recent
definitely
stuff.
more of the recent shit.
We're kind of experts at this point.
We are experts. I know everything.
It seems
about
as though
kaiju.
we've covered the better Godzilla movies with like Shin and the original and minus
And
for my taste.
98.
And 98, of course.
We've definitely, our opinions on these are definitely that they're the best ones, and nobody can talk us out of that. So,
well, that's what
that's
like
the kind of film bros we are.
Amongst our like Slack channel, the top 3 typically in some order are like -1, the original, and Shin, and we have covered all of those. So that's worth something.
No,
for kaiju
totally
fans.
If you were seeing Godzilla -1 8 times, though, it might be time to just check out Belante or whoever the fuck else. Like, check out Mecha Godzilla.
Godzilla versus
go hog
Baloney
on that
or
shit.
Whatever.
Yeah, Godzilla versus Baloney. An Oscar Mayer production.
Yes.
I'd watch that shit. Damn, Steve, I'm glad you didn't pound off in the theater because we might be going to jail. Never hear from Steve again.
Yeah. Maybe.
You're gonna get peeweed.
Yeah.
No.
Oh boys, Steve provided us with the jet ski theme song. Where did Bob go?
Which
wrong?
we heard earlier.
Yeah. Shouts out to Steve for that. That's all the voicemails we got this week. Again, if you guys would like to call in and leave a voicemail for next week, hit us up at 904-638-3231. You guys got any prompts you want to throw out?
Let's see. What are you looking forward to in the new year?
Yeah. Soju's going to be more positive, not going to be so harsh around here. Going to really lift our spirits up. What are you going to be doing?
I'm do the opposite.
Randy's
I'm here to drag everybody down and make everybody
all
regret,
balances out.
Yeah. You got to have your yang,
Randy is
I don't know. I don't have any. What?
What?
Excuse me?
Yeah, I don't.
You want to see my ding dong?
Call in and let us know what movie you saw 3 times or more in the theater. Or you ever?
Yeah, that's a good one, actually.
You ever do anything sexual in the theater? And call in Hotline Kinks.
Whoa,
maybe that's your
now
kink.
we're talking.
Banging in the theater.
Boys.
we all used to work in a theater. We know what goes on in the theater.
We definitely
know what goes on.
I can't hear.
All right.
So let us know. There's a couple.
Yeah. There's plenty of and just call in.
Yeah,
hey,
just call in.
You're thinking about it. Just call in.
Just do it. We want to hear from you.
Just do it. Do it now. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, you know what? If
now
you call if you feel comfortable, okay? You do you.
Only if you would like to over here and have the time. 904-638-3231. We'd love to hear from you. Next week, we're going to be back with a brand new show. As always, we're going to be talking about the first Patreon pick of the first quarter of 2024. This was chosen by your boy Miles B. The movie is 1982's Human Lanterns. Boys, what the fuck is this?
I really don't know.
It's weird.
I really don't.
It's real weird. Apparently, it's got a lot of sword stuff in it, so we might have a sword expert on the show.
What?
Oh shit!
I hope so too.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Human Lanterns. I don't know where it's streaming. I know it's on Blu-ray because I have it. You could probably stream it somewhere.
You're gonna have to rent it from you, Bob.
Wow!
Have to come in.
It'll
with
only be
card.
$5,000 for a day. That's fine, right?
It looks like it's rentable on Amazon and Apple and YouTube.
Okay.
Can I pay you in Korean pesos?
Sure.
Korean pesos.
That's my favorite currency.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that you might have found the one currency that Dogecoin actually is worth more of.
I love Korean pesos. Check out Human Lanterns. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, you can find us on all the social media platforms. Just search Straight Chilling Podcast. If you'd like to join in our daily Slack channel conversations, hit us up on one of those social media outlets and I'll send you a link so you can join in on the fun. Hope everybody had a really happy, fun, and safe New Year's. Until next time, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.